Fit over 40. Fit over 40. Fit over 40. This is like the new cool thing everywhere, isn't it, right? It's been that way for a few years now, too. I'm not pretending that this just started this week. Fit over 40. Wow. What is that? Why is that so special and why is it different? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, from the very start of this video, it's pretty much a marketing slogan. That's basically what it is. Fit over 40. Oh, okay. Well, there's something special that happens, right? I'm 39, and the day I turn 40, I have to change how I train. Or do I? Let's back up for a second here and talk about something that shouldn't be. Well, what's different after 40 than in your 30s? And we can sit here and say, well, you have, decreased sensitivity to leucine, and there's less muscle protein synthesis, and of course your joints are aging. You probably have more arthritis, and your tendons are not as elastic as they once were. Okay, like objectively there are scientific differences. Yes, there are. As you age, you're not the same person you were at 20, trust me. If you doubt that, I don't drink alcohol, but I can give you this analogy, this example. Stop and think about how you felt when you were 21 and you go out drinking all night, and you woke up the next day and you were fine, you weren't hungover or anything. Now, at the age of 40, if you went out drinking like that, how would you feel the next day? Right. So are there differences? Yes, there are. Okay, but how do they affect your training is a question that we want to ask ourselves here. Now, like I said, this is mostly a marketing thing, and it's actually really smart marketing, because why? By the time that you're 40, you probably have a good job. You probably have worked your way up in a company or something like that. So at this point in time, you have an ample income, so you have disposable income. Sign up for my, 12-week Get Shredded program, Fit Over 40, okay? This is a fantastic market for you to be focusing on if you are a, personal trainer, internet online coach, whatever. Fitness over 40. Wow. These are people that have disposable income, and now their kids are probably old enough that they can take time for themselves. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves here. If your kids are, 3 and 4 years old, they eat up a lot of time. If your kids are 17 and 19, well, you don't have to spend as much time with them. In fact, maybe they're off at college already. You're in your 40s, your kids are off at college. Maybe your kid's out of the house by that time. Okay, so you're 40, you have disposable income, and you have time. This is a great market. However, I will point out to you something important here. Fred Hatfield squatted 1,000 pounds in his 40s, and if I'm not mistaken, Donnie Thompson hit his 3,000 pound total in his 40s as well. That's just two examples. You can go ahead and look through. You'll find plenty of powerlifters and bodybuilders who hit their peak in their 40s. So what changes at 40? And I'm going to tell you right now that my mother is in her 70s, and she trains the same way that I do. In fact, she trains the same way that I did. When my mother was in her 60s and started training, I was in my 30s, and my mother did the same training that I did. What's the difference? Well, the difference is just simply the load. That's all the difference is. I'm doing box squats with 295 pounds, and my mom is doing box squats with 45 pounds. But we're both doing box squats, yep. And we're both doing 3 to 5 sets, yep. Right. So the difference is the load. My mother does bent over rows. She does dumbbell rows and kettlebell rows. So do I. What's the difference? Well, my mom is doing rows with, say 25 to 35 pounds, and I'm doing rows with, 50 to 60 pounds for a dumbbell. But we're both doing 4 or 5 sets of 20. Okay. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah. We both deadlift. I deadlift 455 pounds and my mom is over there deadlifting, 55 pounds. But we're both doing deadlifts. Yep. How does the change happen at 40? What magical thing changes? Nothing really. You know what the difference is? Here's the difference. I'll tell you right now. The difference in training as you get older is you can't get away with the dumb shit that you did in your 20s. But the thing about the dumb shit you did in your 20s is that you shouldn't have been doing those things in the first place. I'm guilty of it. Take a look through my YouTube channel and I will tell you stories about all kinds of stupid stuff that I did. I've told the story many, many times now where I was running 100 to 120 miles a week and swimming 50 to 60 miles a week. And I tell you right now, I'll tell you again, and I said it in the past before as well, that was stupid. That was excessive. That was way more than needed. Now, I got away with it because I was in my 20s. So in my 20s, yeah, you can do more and you can do absurd amounts of volume and you will recover and get away with it, just like how you were able to drink excessively and you would recover. Well, yeah, you can train stupid and be excessive and still recover. If I did that in my 40s, man, outside of just overuse injuries like shin splints and stress fractures and tendonitis, it would probably trash my hormones. I'd probably have low thyroid, okay? You can't do that to yourself anymore. That much cortisol, dude, your testosterone level would probably tank, okay? I'll never forget though. I guess it was the summer of 2011. Sounds about right. And I stopped into the doctor's office, I'm just getting routine blood work and all this stuff done. And I said to my doctor, hey, I wonder what my testosterone level is. And he's like, well, we don't really have a reason to check that. And I was like, well, I'd just like to know what it is. Can you just tack it on? He's like, what issues are you having? I was like, I'm not. He was like, well, then why do you want it? And I was like, I'd just like to know what it is. And he was like, sure, we'll just tack that on to your blood work. My blood work came back. I was like 812. 812. In the middle of running 100 to 120 miles a week and swimming 50 to 60 miles a week, 812. I promise you, at 40, doing stupid training like that, you will not have an 812 testosterone level. It will crap out because all the cortisol that you're pumping up, okay? But when you're in your 20s, it's magical. Especially, what was I, like 28? So probably get away with that even in the mid-30s, okay? The point being here, okay, and I'm not an expert on training over 40, like not like I'm speaking from personal experience all through my 40s, blah, blah, no, but I've worked with plenty of athletes who are in their 40s, and I've worked with my mother who's now in her 70s, okay? The point that I'm trying to make to you is that there's nothing magical at 40. You just have to stop doing the dumb shit. Now you have to train the way that you should have been training all along. So don't do stupid things. Like, I don't know, I'm going to do this bizarre exercise I saw on Instagram. Don't do that. Stick with basics. Stick with movements that are stable, okay? And the moment I see someone pull out a Bosu ball or something like that, I just, listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there aren't some values to, using Bosu balls and stability balls and stuff like that. I'm sure there is. I'm sure that someone can come up with a very good application for why this 22-year-old wide receiver needs to have some stability training. But you, at 40, not playing a pro sport, you should just do the things that you can safely do in the gym and not worry about maybe twisting your knee or something like that. Because you're not going to be getting on the field on Sunday and trying to cut, while running at full speed. All right. This is a needs analysis. What do you need? Okay. Maybe if you play offensive line for the Patriots or whatever, maybe you do need to be benching 405 pounds. But I'll throw out to you that Jay Cutler, apparently, this is according to Jay Cutler, and I have no reason to doubt him, said he never used anything heavier than 100-pound dumbbells. That was how he built his chest. 100-pound dumbbells. He didn't feel a need to go any heavier than that. That's interesting. That doesn't mean he wasn't capable of benching 405 pounds. It means that he didn't feel the need to test all the time. And that's something important here. Do you know the difference between testing versus training? This is like the guys who like to max out all the time. They're basically testing, they're displaying their strength, but they're not building strength. There's a big difference between the two, okay? So all I'm expressing here is that as you get older, you have to cut out a lot of the fluff. Don't do stupid things. It really comes down to that. Choose, and this is the thing you've heard me say in videos before, you should have been doing this in your 20s. Don't do movements that hurt. Oh, you're doing bench press today and you're like, oh, my elbow really hurts. Grab a Swiss bar. Grab a pair of dumbbells. Just like, you don't have to do a strict barbell bench press. Oh man, when I low bar back squat, my shoulder kills me. Hey, guess what? You can do a high bar back squat. You can do a safety bar squat. You could do a front squat. You could do a belt squat. You could do all these other things. You do not have to do a strict powerlifting style back squat unless you're competing in powerlifting. But for the rest of us who are just training because we want to be better at some other sport, okay, it's okay for you to do trap bar deadlifts instead of conventional deadlifts. You're not competing in strongman. You don't have to do a strict conventional deadlift. You can go ahead and do any other variation too. You can do rack pulls, you could do RDLs, you could do Dimmel deadlifts. I'm a huge fan of Dimmel deadlifts. You don't even have to go heavy. To do a Dimmel deadlift properly, I had this conversation with Paul Leonard. About 25% of your deadlift, that's all you should be using. And you should do sets of like 20. So 25% of your deadlift for sets of 20. That's the optimal way for you to use the Dimmel deadlift. And trust me, when I say this, that was a game changer for me. I listened to Paul and I was like, really? 25% of my deadlift? This seems too light. But you're Paul Leonard, and you know what the fuck you're talking about. So I'm going to trust you on this and just do it. Yeah, 2 sets of 20 at 25%. I did exactly what he told me to do. Amazing. Amazing, because it works, okay? And as a final note on this whole thing, Fit Over 40, you're going to have a ton of people marketing their hormone optimization, TRT. Use my promo code bullshit to you. There's nothing magical about being 40. That means you have to be on TRT. That's utter bullshit. You should see an endocrinologist. I've been over this 1,000 times. And you should get a blood work done. What's your level? What's your luteinizing hormone? What's your follicle stimulating hormone? Don't just focus on testosterone. What's your free testosterone? What's your estrogen? Look at these other numbers, your DHT, okay? And before you do something like hopping on TRT, are you overweight? Do you have sleep apnea? Get a goddamn sleep study. For the love of God, please get a sleep study. Do you know how many people have sleep apnea and it's undiagnosed? That will ruin your heart. I don't care if you get on TRT or not. You will end up hypertrophying parts of your heart. Okay? Sleep apnea is bad news. Why would you... Oh, let me put a Band-Aid on it. I fixed my testosterone level. You still have sleep apnea. Get a pituitary MRI. Make sure you don't have a pituitary adenoma, prolactinoma, anything like that. Okay? Get a glucagon stimulation test done. Hell, if you truly have low testosterone, you might have a low growth hormone. You should address that. Get your thyroid tested. Oh, no, not just TSH. You need to have a T3 and a T4 on that. You need to have more reverse T3 too if you have a good doctor. You should make sure that you have optimal thyroid function, okay? There are other things you need to check for. Make sure you don't have prostate cancer. Make sure you don't have testicular cancer. Like, these things should be ruled out, okay? But anyways, the point being, there's nothing magical about 40. Greg Panora made a post the other day. Unfortunately, he has limited who can comment on it, which I think is weird. And he made this comment about how, anyone over 40, if you're not on TRT, you're fucking dumb. And then in the comment section, it's unfortunate he deleted this comment, but I did screenshot it. He said that TRT is a good excuse for old guys to use steroids. And so he was saying that 200 milligrams a week is a steroid cycle, but it's totally justifiable because you're over 40, so who cares? And he said that TRT is just an excuse for old guys to do steroids. Right. But yet anyone who's over 40 is dumb if they're not on TRT. Do you see how weird that kind of messaging is? Greg won't let you comment on his post. It's limited. So Atlas Shrugged made a post about it himself, pointing out how ridiculous that is. There's nothing special about age. Age is just a number. It really is, okay? I've got more miles on me than most 40-year-olds. I mean that literally. Like, how many people ran 100 miles a week for years? Age is just a number, okay? My dad, Jesus. My dad, at the age of 65, with lymphoma that then metastasized to his lungs and his throat and his brain, and he's on chemotherapy and all this stuff like that, still had a testosterone level in the 670s at the age of 65. Does he need to be on TRT? He's in the 670s, okay? Being over 40 isn't some magical thing. So if you're going to go down that route, I don't care. I don't have a problem. In fact, actually, if you have a testosterone level of 110, yeah, you probably should get treatment. But I feel like you should rule out all the other bad shit, like, hey, maybe you have brain cancer or testicular cancer. Like, rule that out before you just put a Band-Aid on it to fix some number on a lab test, okay? I am not anti-medication. Anyone that knows me, I'm not anti-medication. If you need a medication, you should be on it. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, no, you should take medication. Fuck that. If you don't have a thyroid, you should be taking thyroid medication. Like, I'm not someone who sits here and says you shouldn't take medication, but I am someone who says you shouldn't take medication that you don't need without a proper workup. So don't just take something to take it. You know, oh, I'm just going to start taking thyroid. Why? Do you have low thyroid? I have no idea. I'm just going to start taking it. No one would ever do that. I'm just going to start taking insulin. Do you have diabetes? I have no idea. Then why would you just start using insulin? No one would ever do that, okay? So in similar, it's the same for hormone replacement. You don't just throw shit in just randomly without knowing why. So anyways, fit over 40, right? We have all this bizarre messaging about what you need to do, and you need to do that, you need to do this. I'll tell you right now, you don't need to do anything different. Basically, you just need to start doing the things that you should have been doing all along. And that's just training intelligently, not training stupid. And in your diet, too. Okay? Anyone will tell you, as you get older, you have to clean up your diet. You can't get away with just eating Big Macs and, pizza for every fucking meal. Yeah, that's completely true. Because I tell you what, as you get older, your digestion just isn't the same. I used to have an iron stomach. I could eat anything I wanted all the time, never had any gut issues at all. Yeah, can't play that game as I got older, okay? So, I lived on a diet of nothing but Burger King. I'm not exaggerating either. I ate Burger King for breakfast and lunch every day, and then I went out with my girlfriend and got pizza for dinner. I did that at least 6 days a week. Maybe on the 7th day, we went to Applebee's for dinner, okay? And I swear to you, we went to Burger King for lunch every day. Okay, I got a double Whopper with fries and a Mountain Dew for lunch every single day. So, can I do that now? No, and it's not because there's some kind of magic thing where I would just get fat from doing that now. No, it's because my gut can't handle it, man. Like I would have digestive issues. So, yeah, things change as you get older. And now you have to eat healthy like you should have been all along. And you have to train smart like you should have been all along. And that's what really changes as you get older, is that basically you have to cut out the dumb stuff. You don't have to add in anything different. You don't have to do anything special. It's not like your body magically changes. You now have to actually do the things that you should have been doing all along. And that's pretty much what it comes down to, because that's what I have my mom do. My mom is in her 70s, and I just have her do the basic stuff that people should be doing. Squat, hinge, push, pull. And my mom goes for a walk at least twice a day. Sometimes 3 times in a day. Yeah, lots of walking. Why? Because you were designed to get up and move, not sit on the couch all day. So, it really is that simple, guys. Like, I can't make it any more simple for you. It's mostly marketing. The idea that after 40 you need a special coach. No, you don't. It just comes down to you doing the things that you already know. That's it.